Hello fellow Muse users. Alright, let's talk about my current project because I've got an update to some of my previous comments about the Muse. I'm making a switch panel here for a large model airplane. And first thing you do is, since I'm going to be threading some bits into here, is I went ahead and set up a test cut sheet and started to try to figure out what size diameter hole I was going to need. Now I blasted out the first draft here and I got my holes just right. As I refined my layout in cardboard on the Muse, which I love working with cardboard, I came up with my first final panel last night. And then I realized, oh man, something changed here. You see the damage around the hole here. These threads didn't actually fit anymore. And the reason was I primed and put 2 or 3 layers of paint on this and then tape on top of this. And lo and behold, the laser's power was degraded slightly, so the diameter of the hole changed. Okay, so what happens? What should we do? Well, when you're working on a surface where you're going to engrave and you want a nice finish, this is a great looking finish here against the silver. If you tape off your work area, for one, as it engraves, all that smoke and all the burn isn't going to pollute the rest of your workpiece. You won't have to clean it off. This is just after cutting and then peeling. This is what it's going to look like. But again, all this stuff degrades the power of your laser. So let's talk about how we do a vector and raster all in one operation on the Muse. Let's go ahead and drop this in the machine. And you see that the gantry head is at its home point as defined by this button. When mine starts up, it starts up in this corner, but this is home. I think this is 0 and 20, and that's 0 and 0. Might be wrong about that. I had previously complained, however, that the picture button didn't work, and I never understood why it was red. Well, when I said, I think the manual says you push the button twice or something, and it was supposed to go. Well, the reason it doesn't work is because the head needs to move. If it's up in the corners or up against 0, it's not going to have enough room to move. So we can either manually jog this sucker out, you could unlock the gantry and reposition it, or you can come in here and control and click. Control, hold control, move your mouse and put it and click. Let's do that. Hold on. Control, I'm holding control with the left. I'm just gonna click right in the middle of the workpiece. I don't know if you could hear it, but I'm sure you could see the little red dot slide over. Boom, check that out, it's right in the middle. Oh, and look, now the button's gonna work. Push the button twice, just like they say in the manual. Okay, that's it taking its height measurement, and it goes back to where it wants, and now it's going to start taking its 9 photographs. By the way, don't forget to use your focusing billet, or focusing puck, before that. Now, I've done it, obviously, so don't forget that part. All right, it's running through picture 8 and picture 9. By the way, if you had a previous visual on the screen, you do not have to clear it. It will overwrite it for you, but in just a moment, woohoo, there it is. So that was my mistake. Sorry, Muse. Your camera picture instructions were right. However, the details about getting it off of the corners and getting it off of this x-axis really could be better said. All right, so let's take a look in Inkscape here, which is where I have made this panel. First thing you notice, I've got green, blue, black, and some red, and here's why. We're going to take this switch panel V9, the PDF that I have it saved at, because this is how I work best with it, and import it. Okay, drag it onto here, and let's control and zoom in. All right, cool. Check this out. So these colors actually reappear. We have red, blue, below this is a little black, and there's some red. If we blow open our panel here, we can toggle the visibility on and off and see there's my colors replicated again. And what this is going to correlate to is different performances for different colors. So my black lettering here, I don't want it to cut through, I just want it to etch. Well, the whole raster job is black. Even if I change the letters or change the coloring of the letter, it's not going to matter, because as this laser shoots across doing its raster, which is drawing the picture, so to speak, everything gets drawn. The outline gets drawn, these boxes get drawn, this lettering that's very faint here gets drawn, even the circles get drawn. And then when it's done, it comes back in and it cuts the circles, right? And it's going to cut it to this power setting. So my black lettering here passes, you just shut it off. Passes are 0. Don't cut that area. My red, I needed to, because the diameter of the holes changed with all the extra layers of paint and tape I put on it, I needed to adjust my speed. So I now have it slowed down to 20% speed, 100% power, 100% current, and I'm going to change the passes here to, no, I'm going to leave that on 2. Don't worry about my settings. I know this is going to work for this project. Green is my perimeter cut. I know it works just fine on 50%, and I've got an overage of material here. It doesn't have to be exact. So if it burns off a slight bit more, I don't care. But I actually want it to burn off a slight bit more. And here, I want it to open these holes up. So going back then to the, we got to toggle this back on. The view here of what's going on, my power 100%, my speed, I know my experience here because it's got to go through all this and I want a nice deep cut. It's 20% speed, 100% power, 20% speed. I'm going to actually bump this up a little bit, and the black and white threshold you adjust just to get it to look the way you want. I've got everything visible. We've got one major thing to do. Let's reselect this, let's rotate this, let's get it on a position on the workpiece where it's good to go. This is obviously the last cut I'm going to get out of this particular piece, but I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to look over all my settings one more time off camera and then hit the go button, and I'll be back with you. Okay, I'm confident here and I've got what I want entered. So just to go back over this one more time, black text and blue text, which is this master, was black and all the other text here was blue. Those are set to off. The only thing I've got it that's actually going to cut out is the perimeter, and the red, and again, or the circles, is the red. Don't pay any attention to my settings. Your settings are going to be however you want them to be. I've got everything all set in here, and we are ready to hit the go button. My fans are running. Everything's ready to go. There's no red bars here because this was one of the things I ran into early, was if you have your work area up in one of these corners, you're going to get these big red bars because the laser head has to slide past everything. By the way, your speed adjusts how far. 100% speed is going to have a big fat bar because the laser overruns it. 20%, like I'm about to do, the laser barely overruns it. Also, the orientation of your workpiece is important because in this orientation, the way I first cut it, as that laser is etching or rastering, it has to travel this whole distance. Well, I'm going to shorten the length of my job by turning it this way, so the laser only has to travel this distance. The cut, it's still going to do on its own. All right, here we go. Let's go over to the machine. Go, baby, go. All right, this video is getting long. I'm going to stop it, and I'll come back when this is ready to come off. All right, let me just reiterate what I just said about the time. As you can see, the laser is dithering across the workpiece here. If it was in this orientation, instead of running that distance, it would be running a much longer distance. So it's just about to hit this line, and it's going to start making a bunch of smoke and doing a bunch of stuff. Let's go back over to the machine. Alright, there we go. I had to pause it for 30 seconds because even at that, it's still a long process. So it's starting to cut out these boxes here on the top, and it's starting to mark some of the lettering. And don't forget to tape off your piece here, or you'll have to clean all that smoky residue off the final product here. This is, again, that's what it looks like when it's taped off, and for me that's good enough. Alright, I'll be back with the final product, or actually be back when it starts cutting. Alright, I lied, I'm back. I'm bored. I don't want to make this 2 videos, so let's watch it doing some work, and maybe I'll talk you through my setup here. God, it's so cool. Alright, so I've got the Muse on the riser inside of a nice Rubbermaid cart because I use this thing at my work, and I also currently have it at home. But here's the deal, is that I just leave the riser on there. I have the metal plate that separates it just kind of turned a little bit. You can see there's actually, well, there you can see the orientation of it, right? It's in there, and the grid stays in there just fine. Below that is my rotary assembly to do cups, as I've shown you previously. And I just take these 2 pieces out when it's ready to go. Down here I have my air scrubber, the FSL 100, and everything is ducted and all zip tied. I've got power distribution here, so I really just have a single cord. And then there's this little pump slash water circulator deal that they sell. And very important, a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. Why a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher? Well, because you paid a bunch of money for this really cool machine that runs on these really nice rails, and everything is very nicely built. And if you throw a fire dissipating powder in there, you can pretty much write this machine off. It's never going to run the same. That stuff is caustic, it is gritty, and it's going to ruin the inside of that machine. The CO2 extinguishers are expensive, yes, and actually they're technically just a one-use deal as well. They're not supposed to be reused once the seal is broken. They can't validate them, so you have to refill them or buy a new one or whatever it is, and they weigh them. That's how they tell how much gas is in there. They weigh them. So this one's never been used. I do have a CO2 extinguisher that I have used multiple times and the seal is holding, but it's a lot newer than this one, so who knows. I have had workpieces catch fire, absolutely. You cannot leave this laser unattended. You have to stay here. I've had stuff catch fire, and I just opened the door and put it out myself by blowing on it, but it could be bad. Alright, here comes the transition from raster to vector. There it was. It just wrapped up doing all the etching and the rastering. Whoa. Alright, you can see that's a lot of energy going in there. And again, I said don't look at my examples for power settings here because I wanted this hole slightly larger. I think in hindsight looking at this, I probably should have just bumped it up in Inkscape a little bit more than I did. I actually bumped everything up 1/4 millimeter and increased the power. I probably should have bumped it up maybe 0.3, 0.35 and left the power setting the same because it was cutting it just fine. Alright. Something happened there. I don't know what it just did. I must have had something wrong with the color. It just cut a little piece, I swear, out of the top. Well, I guess we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Something I did. Alright, this is going to conclude it. Done. Alright, pull it off and let's take a look at it. Okay, so let's pop her out and I'll peel the tape. This is that little thing I was talking about. It blew out the R in Republic. I must have had something with the coloring wrong, but you know what? That's okay. Okay, this is why we tape everything off. Look at that, how nice it comes out. And you can see here the burn marks and all that stuff. The tape has captured all that. Alright guys, I hope that helps you. Vector and raster all in one operation. Sorry for the length of this video.